Welcome to another episode of Strange Planet. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review and also leave a comment. It helps spread the word, helps with the algorithms. We are about to unlock the forbidden secrets of the pyramids with Captain Leo Walton, the seafaring maverick whose near-death vision shattered history's illusions. Forget dusty tombs. These colossal structures were cosmic engines, pulsing with plasma-scalar power to shatter ice ages, realign stars, and awaken humanity's dormant potential. From Giza's hidden alignments to Nazca's etched Tesla codes, Leo decodes a global network of ancient tech, Osiris's tombs as sun-reviving generators, Egyptian texts revealing America's pharaonic roots, and overlooked heroines like Amelia Edwards reshaping archaeology's narrative. As he launches the New Paradigm Pyramid Research Project, prepare for revelations that fuse nuclear savvy, celestial maps, and kundalini fire, proving our ancestors weren't primitives but master engineers guarding Earth's survival. Could their blueprints save us now? All right, let's prepare to dive into this mind-expanding odyssey that rewrites civilization's dawn. Captain Leo Walton is a retired businessman, a USCG merchant marine captain, marine forensic investigation consultant, with over 2,500 investigations to his credit, a lifelong mariner who's sailed more than 25,000 miles. He began his career as a nuclear apprentice, working on U.S. Navy vessels before serving as a professional firefighter, EMT, corporate manager, inventor, and project engineering manager on critical infrastructure, including the fire suppression system that helped save lives on 9/11. Following a near-death experience in 2007, Leo turned his focus to pyramid research, blending his background in nuclear, mechanical, and industrial systems with decades of global exploration across Egypt, Central America, and Bosnia. His pioneering theories suggest pyramids were advanced energy and climate control systems rather than tombs. He's lectured for the International Association for Near-Death Studies and Edgar Cayce's ARE, and continues to share his insights on ancient engineering, consciousness, and humanity's survival. His list of published works include the Giza Park Protocol, How to Start the Sun, Operations Manual Number 1, Termination of Ice Age, which was released this past July, Addicted to the Sun, Book of Miracles, the Giza Park Protocol Manual 2, the analysis of the 3 ancient weather and climate modification systems, currently being edited, and a target release around New Year's 2026. Captain Walton, first of all, let me introduce you to, or welcome you to Strange Planet. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. What a super introduction. I don't know how, I guess I can leave now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
But
but you,
anyway, I'm doing great. I'm hanging out in London, getting ready and prepared to go to do lectures at the Chicago 6th annual Chicago Pyramid Scientific Conference in just a couple weeks.
all right.
And so I'm ready to get out there and start introducing my new book, 17 Years of as a forensics investigator. I brought a different perspective, a different background than most people doing the research. Chris Dunn's the one that really kicked me into gear.
Do you want to give us the details on the you want to give us the details on the big pyramid conference in Chicago in a couple of weeks? Where do we get more information?
Oh, more information, you can go on to the Global Pyramid Network. I can give you all that data at the end there, so you can add that, make sure everybody's got that if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Plus, you can go on my webpage and find out a lot about it. As a matter of fact, my website was just released, and it's captainleowalton.com. It's pretty easy to remember that, so you can get there from that site as well. So there's 2 sites. But go ahead, finish your questions there.
All right, let's dive right in. So if the pyramids weren't tombs, and I think we've all slowly come around to that realization, they were not tombs but machines to end an ice age. What exactly were they designed to do? How could stone and geometry manipulate the climate?
It's more than that. It's cosmically. When I really delved into this, I went I've gone really deep and started looking at the influence. What really got me going was when I learned that the core of the Earth was the same size as our moon. It's made of 85% lead and 10% of, excuse me, it's 85% iron and 10% lead. And it rotates the opposite direction of the Earth. And the temperature at this point is exactly the same temperature as the surface of the sun. So this sent me on a really wild goose chase on energy, and for someone it could explain that to me. And it just led from there that I got into yoga and the cosmic year, the whole Vedic science. I really dove into that and learned how the cycles are, and that we have two suns. We have our sun, and then we have Sirius, the dog star, they call it, is actually, I believe, our second mother sun. And if you look at a lot of the ancient cultures, they call it that. And if you study the great year, the Vedic system, it's 24,000 year cycle. Sirius and the sun are on this kind of crazy Vesica Pisces looking shape, orbit, where they go away from each other and then they come together. And this explains all the cycles and the ages of astrology, because as these two huge planets, and Sirius is 1.7 times larger than our sun. So the Mayan calendar ended on December the 21st, 2012. I was already deep into this research. Everybody's saying, oh, the world's coming to an end, because the Mayans didn't predict any further than this. I believe the Mayans, they were really good. I've had 4 trips to the Teotihuacan pyramids there, and spent 5 months in Bosnia doing Mayan pyramids all over the region there. And I like the Mayans. I know a lot about them, but and one thing I learned about them, they were excellent astronomers. So it would, they actually had 5 calendars exactly like the Egyptians, which is a real commonality of those two cultures, that they say were Egyptians first, Mayans second. I say no, same time. These systems were functional at the same time, so these cultures were more than likely doing the same things because it was the same time period, not a different time period.
Fascinating. So let's talk about the pyramid then as a machine.
Okay.
Talk to me about what they're designed to do, how they work.
Okay, because of Chris Dunn's great work, I got focused real on on the Great Pyramid. I became the mashed potato guy, and I dove into it. I'm really good. I've got such a diverse background in technology and engineering and in nuclear radiation, all kinds of energies. And so I'm kind of where Chris Dunn is a machinist background, and he's really looking at the thousands of the inches, which you need that. That's part of all of it. But he really brought it into focus, the precision that was designed in that. No tomb was ever been built that way. No. Okay? For one. So when you're looking at the frequencies he's measuring in there, and how everybody has talked about the resonance inside John Cadman with the resonance, it's built the King's Chamber, they call it. I've renamed that to the Reaction Chamber because no king was ever in there. It's actually that whole area in there, the floor is kind of loose. It's not really anchored to anything, and below it is a huge cavity below it. So that pump that's 100 feet below the ground, the Cadman pump. Are you very familiar on the technology in that?
No, I am not. I'll need you to hold my hand here.
Okay. Well, let's start with the pump. There's a pump, a perpetual pump, 100 feet below the pyramid itself in the ground, straight underneath. These tunnels lead from this pump that go back and up through the pyramid system. Okay. John Cadman, for over 20 years, he became the mashed potato man about that pump. And he designed a replica of the pump that's in the Great Pyramid system. All the components aren't there, they've been removed. But anyway, he built a replica of that, and that pump has been running perpetually in Washington State. He's now built a little pyramid over it, and it's been running perpetually with no electricity for nearly 20 years.
If the components of the pump were removed, how do we know what was there prior?
Well, you can see the foundation that it's built on. And if you take just typical dynamic engineering methods and stuff, you can use those logarithms and formulas to you still got to dream up with one good thing about it is it was a simple pump. It literally, the pumping mechanism in the ocean-going shipbuilding, I learned a long time ago, okay? The shafts that come out of these huge cargo ships have a bearing to keep the seawater from coming in. These bearings are made out of a special tree, a special wood. It's called lignin vitae. It will not float. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends is a NASA physicist at NASA headquarters. I know a lot of those guys, okay? I took pictures of his wedding for him. That's how close we are. Anyway, we're over his house with a group of people there, and he says, listen, my wife's family are lobster fishermen, and they found this really strange block of wood. We've taken it to NASA. Nobody knows what it is in the world. We cannot identify it. So he takes a group, most of them got a glass of wine, and he takes them, hey, it's got this beautiful, beautiful block. I said, man, that's one nice looking piece of lignin vitae. He said, what? I said, that's lignin vitae. He says, what's that? What's that? And next thing you know, everybody's on doing this, and they come to find out it's a special tree. It's really oily. So it makes it heavy. So what had happened is somebody had dropped this chunk of lignin vitae overboard their boat, and it sank to the bottom, and the lobster fishermen picked it up in a net or something like that and brought it on board. That was it, family's prized possession for about 30, 40 years, and nobody knew what it was. But that's what I believe. Egypt, I did the research in Egypt, they have a species, they call a different name, Arabian name, but it's the same kind of tree as the lignin vitae. I believe these were the components that are missing out of 3 locations in the Great Pyramid. See, nobody talks about this.
So you sort of back engineered what this platform underneath what was housed on it. What does this?
That's right.
What was the functionality of this pump? What was it doing?
Oh, okay. All right. In a nutshell, because it's many components, okay? I've identified 12 different systems that go 144 miles from the Mediterranean Sea to Hawara to Lake Maurice. And it's 12 stars match up to the Taurus constellation. People don't know that. Whole Orion theory is gone. It's history.
It's Taurus, not Orion.
I found 12 stars to Taurus, and the ancient Egyptians worshipped the Apis bull for a reason. That whole system was built in alignment to the Taurus constellation.
Okay, just to be clear, so it's not Orion. We've been hearing about Orion.
It's not Orion.
We've been hearing about Orion.
He found 3 stars of the belts that kind of lines up with it, and they're bright stars, and everybody can recognize them. And it does line up with it. But there's millions of stars that line up with those pyramids. But there's only 12 of them that fit a constellation. So there's more than 3 stars, and there's literally, depending on who you talk to, There's about 160 stars in the Taurus constellation, okay? But they claim there's major stars. Depending on who you talk to, there's between 16 and 19 major stars in the constellation of Taurus. I've matched 12 of those up to systems in Egypt. 12 of 16 or 19. Plus, I've lined the Pleiades up, and I've lined up the Crab Nebula. So I have 14 systems at Egypt that line up to 14 different systems. It's all part of Taurus.
And we're talking about the pyramids on the Giza Plateau.
Right? Giza Plateau. Right. I did Bosnia. Bosnia is the Pleiades, and Teotihuacan is Aries. So I have done 3 pyramid systems that line up the constellations, and they are the blueprint of the construction of these systems. Now, Teotihuacan connects even your water systems. Most of these sites, I've been to all of them and spent lots of time looking. These rivers have been artificially constructed. There are connections with these systems, with water systems. In Mexico, it's volcano systems. Cerro Gordo, Pyramid of the Moon at Teotihuacan, if you go over it in a hot air balloon, it looks like Cerro Gordo, the volcano that's directly behind it about 4 or 5 miles. And it's one of the stars in Aries that comes straight to those pyramid systems.
Okay, so back to the pump. What was it pumping?
All right. The pump, all right, we were backing up. Lake Maurice is it's a saltwater aquifer. And it's a long ways. It's off of Hawara. And it travels. There's 2 tunnels that come out of Lake Maurice, part of this, the whole theory that I've put together, that I've reverse engineered. And that water comes all the way from Lake Maurice, because if you go south in Egypt, most rivers flow north to south, but the Nile flows backwards. So that means everything coming at Giza's up above it. So it's gravity fed from this aquifer, okay? And it runs through all the different systems, and it comes into, finally, there's a mixing basin in front of the Sphinx where the water is pulled from by this pump. That's kind of like the pump tank that fills the Great Pyramid. And it drops 100 feet straight down into this pump. So you've got 80 tons of force coming down that tunnel down there with all that weight of the water. And this is how it gets kick-started. They pull a big granite plug off of it, and the water goes in. This is part of the ignition system when they plan a bunch of different things and get this going. And to stop it, they just put the granite plug back on it.
Okay.
But anyway, the water circulates. Now we've got it to the pyramid without a long conversation. Okay, it comes out of the pump. It goes up inside the pump, and it takes a jack leg into the Queen's chamber. So this pump is creating 3,200 psi. Okay, this is what the pump specs came out to be on it. All right. So this water is coming in there with industrial intensity, and it's hitting that weird shaped room is to disassociate the water. Every system along the way from Lake Maurice is to disassociate the water, add some things to it, some ammonia that gets added to it, okay? But anyway, so it creates, and plus it's running through these tunnels at high speed. It's being sucked in there, that system's now, bring it on. And so you've got all these scalar energies. I measured over 100 scalar energies at the Giza system. And all these energies have been ingeniously manipulated that they all have a particular function, a component. They're all been used as components. But anyway, after the water comes out of the Queen's chamber, comes up through the Great Gallery, which is another area. If you look at the way it's cantilevered and all, this is to agitate the water for years. As a matter of fact, when I introduced my pyramid theories in 2015, by invitation at Edgar Casey's headquarters, ARE in Virginia Beach, Virginia, in 2015, I was 100% convinced the purpose of the Great Pyramid was a hydrogen generator.
Right.
And
That's
what
what you
I
mean
learned,
when you say disassociate. You're saying disassociate the oxygen molecules from the hydrogen molecules. So it's producing what, like kind of a hydroxy water or a Brown's
yeah,
gas?
it's basically making the water unstable to where you can separate it. So I actually took a test to do there at the lecture I did then, where I made with electrolysis with a 9-volt battery hydrogen, and lit it and stuff. But anyway, I made a mistake. I forgot my salt. It's got to be as excited. What can I say? But anyway. Um, so I was convinced it was hydrogen. And then as I got further and further along in my research, like I say, it's 17 years going on. And I've been like a madman I've been to 13 countries, 650 locations. We spent 9 weeks in Egypt. I don't go and write about anything until I've actually been there and visited it. I come up with all these hypotheses, then I go there and I look to see if I'm just batshit crazy or what. But
So
anyway, so
yeah, yeah, keep
go
going.
ahead.
I just wanted to back up because you mentioned scalar energy systems. Just give
Yeah.
us a very basic, like you're talking to a fifth grader here. What do you mean by a scalar energy system?
Well, scalar energies are energies we don't necessarily see. Lightning comes from scalar energy. You don't see it until it goes boom. And what people don't realize, I've done over 250 forensics lightning investigations. And so I've learned a lot. Plus, I was struck directly by lightning, blew a crown off my tooth on my sailboat. Yeah, that.
Wow.
Anyway, so I know what it feels like. I know what it acts like. And I know I've had enough hands on experience investigating it to know what it is. But the lightning that you hear and see, that big bright flash and boom, that 100% comes out of the ground.
Out
People
of
don't know that.
wow,
Out
out
of
of
the
the
ground.
ground.
It's not from the sky. This is the way lightning works. You've got positive and negative energy in the atmosphere, and they're like this all the time. The energy inside of a thunderstorm, it's just shooting. You wouldn't want to go inside one. It's just shooting everywhere. But anyway, what happens with the ground lightning? Like I say, the core of the earth is rotating and creating energy.
Mhm.
This energy is going somewhere and it's coming out the earth all the time. I believe this energy is what causes the Great Barrier Reef. I believe all these major reef systems we have, and I've done fulgurite research for probably a decade now. And then fulgurites are petrified lightning bolts that come out of the ground. I did research in Ibiza, in Spain on them, and I've done research on a beach reclamation project in the Chesapeake Bay. It took me 3 years to accumulate all the fulgurites but some of them are hollow tubes. Most of them you find are in sand because it melts really good together with all that silica crystals and everything in it.
Petrified lightning bolts? I've never heard of such a thing.
Yes, look up fulgurites. We can do a show on it sometime if you'd like.
Sure.
Yes, people don't realize when they see that bright boom and hear it and feel it that came out of the earth. And to get off base a little bit about the Cirrus and Sun moving closer together means the core of the earth is going to rotate faster. If you look at the electromagnetic field, that's what causes it, and that's why it's moving to the east. Okay, Fairbanks, Alaska. Airplanes land with a GPS system now. That's how they land them. Fairbanks, Alaska, since this is magnetic field started, had to build a new runway to land their airplanes on because it's moved so far.
Right, right. Magnetic north is moving. Right.
That's right. So as the core of the Earth gets moving faster, we're going to have, I predicted in 2012, more volcanoes, more earthquakes. Okay. Also, we're going to have more comet impacts because as the core of the Earth rotates faster, the magnetic field reaches out. Well, our magnetic field's looking for someone to shake their hand and have them invite them for a visit.
Right.
And there's a lot of meteors out there made of iron, that's really magnetic. And so we're going to have more of those impacting the Earth for sure.
Wow. So,
For generations. Yeah,
including Apophis or Apophis, right? The Egyptian god of death or destruction or something. Isn't that the name of one of these potential planet killers coming in?
Oh, it could be.
Yeah. Okay, so
could be. Yeah.
this is absolutely fascinating. So again, these pyramids were designed to forestall this type of event?
I think this system, I can tell you one purpose of it. It could have been multi-purpose. I believe that the Great Pyramid system and the Bosnian Pyramid system and the Teotihuacan Pyramid system were all built, constructed, and operating together at the same time. They're part of the same system. And what everybody, my theory solves the Younger Dryas dilemma because these systems were operated cyclic. This particular design of these systems, I've calculated it, were designed as a controlled melting of the ice age as to not destroy humankind, but to provide abundance all over the world. After the ice age was melted, humans moved to every continent on Earth but Antarctica. And it saved humanity and made us here today. Because the ice age was 2.43 million years, depending on who you talk to. And we're talking in the Northwest, up your way. Okay, as a matter of fact, British Columbia is part of my theories. It's involved because it's on that whole ring of fire, volcanoes. Volcanoes were all frozen. If somebody was in charge of Earth and said, how can we save humanity? And they looked down on top of Washington State, they would have seen a 2-mile thick ice cube laying on top. Guess what? Volcanoes. All those volcanoes out there were dysfunctional because magma is 70% water.
So
how do you freeze everything 2 miles thick and not eliminate the use of volcanoes?
So you're saying the pyramids were designed to melt. They harnessed this energy, and they were designed to melt the glaciers, free up the volcano, so that they could help melt the glaciers as well.
In short words, exactly. And I'll tell you how it did it. There were 3 structures on the Giza plateau that were misaligned. All the systems, even the Sphinx looks due east. All the pyramids are aligned to the 4 corners. The Wall of the Crow, misaligned. A temple right in front of the Sphinx, misaligned. But there's another one misaligned that really caught my interest. And it's 108 feet below the ground, even deeper than the pump. And it's in the middle between the Great Pyramid and they call it the Khafre Pyramid. I call it the plasma reflux pyramid because that's its design. It's designed as a sponge, as a ground sink, a heat sink. Like your battery charger, you got that thing that sucks the heat down in it. It's aluminum usually. That's what that pyramid is. That's why it's built on a foundation 4 times bigger than it needs to be because it's solid limestone. And talking about scalar energy, plasma is attracted to limestone like water to a sponge, and it is faster than light. Scalar energy, plasma energy, is different. If we look at nuclear energy, let's look at alpha, beta, and gamma radiation, okay? Alpha and beta are particles. Gamma radiation is electromagnetic. Rotational AC could be considered as gamma energy. And it is so fast. So we go to the bottom, it's called Osiris's tomb. And once that whole area was filled with water for decades and decades. Nobody ever been in there. You couldn't get in. It was always flooded. And in 1996, it ended up getting pumped out. And I want to find out the specifics of that. So I'm on the phone. I'm calling all over Egypt trying to talk. Who's in charge of the damn pyramids over there? I want to talk some stuff, you know. So I finally found out that it's the water department, the waterworks department, are the ones that do all the maintenance and everything at the Giza Plateau. As a matter of fact, they shut one of the pyramids down every year and go in and chemically and steam clean the inside because of the salt weeping out of the walls. And they tell everybody that's from human breath. Mm-hmm. Okay, so every year you shut down a pyramid to clean the salt. And when they first found these pyramids, it was tons of salt in it. I think that's what shut it down. I think it left it running and it clogged itself up and shut itself down. Wow. That's what I think. Kind of self-destructive.
So that salt was that from that inland saltwater lake that you.
That's right. We got to have that to create oxygen, electrolysis. We got piezoelectric. Okay, but anyway, so we in Osiris's tomb, what I learned down there by looking at the water dynamics and everything set up, it literally used to have 4 columns that went up that this water circulated around. And it's like a sarcophagus in it. It's made of a special granite, of course, piezoelectric. But the water would circulate through it. And as I dove deeper in, Hawass, he actually did a superb job in 1997 going in there and cleaning it up. J.J. Hurtak and his wife Desiree were the ones that discovered this Osiris's tomb in 1996. And then Hawass went in after them and cleaned it up and made it accessible to where you could see things better. And he did some really good measurements in there, which I used. I'm real good using blueprints. You know, I drew them for the pump in the World Trade Center. So I'm good at blueprints, and he did a good job.
So
But the water circulates.
Right. So was this energy that was harnessed direct? Like, how was it focused like a lens at the ice formations?
All right.
How was that done?
Well, what I did, I went down and I measured. You know, I'm a boat captain, so I follow a compass heading. So when I did all the measurements, I'm like, why is Osiris's tomb not facing east? It's facing 121.5 degrees east, not 90. And which means the other part of it, which it looked like to me, it was designed to send energies, this rotation. There's 3 holes in the bottom of the Osiris's tomb. It drains into another tunnel that runs straight to the Sphinx's head, right through his head. His head's got a hole in it this big.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this water is circulating. It's circulating between 4 columns that are aligned to the magnetic structure. Plus, this whole system's built pretty much the center of the earth as far as energy of the earth. That's why it's built there. They need the heat from the Sahara to melt to ice, okay? The Sahara Desert's the #1 incidental radiant heat source for planet Earth, okay? And it was green a long time.
Yeah.
And the reason it was green is because all this water, this plasma water, okay? Plasma water. You can grow vegetables in plasma water. You can't You know, if you got water coming up from a river, it's got to bring some topsoil in the sand to make it grow. And that's what they used to say the Nile would flood. What would happen, they'd start this system. But what's happening, what I did, I learned that coordinates was 243 degrees. So I said, let's go and play with the Google Earth and let's see where 243 degrees goes. Well, I pretty much went all the way across the whole African continent. I didn't find any. I was looking for any kind of structures or systems or something, be a reason to send energy underneath the ground there. Because I already knew it was a plasma. And like I say, the energy's so fast, if you were standing in that tunnel, the time it takes you to blink your eye, that energy plasma would already be back. That's how fast it is.
So it's producing. You're trying to find where the receiver is? Is that the idea?
That's right. I'm trying to see what's the target? What's the purpose of this?
Yeah.
So I go on. I end up going across the desert and pretty much find a lot of sand. Okay. Not abundance. So I end up in Casablanca, right at the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm like, okay, well, hell, I didn't find nothing on the Africa. Let's go across the Atlantic and see where we land. I landed in Ocean City, Maryland, United States. I said, interesting. And I do a lot of research on that whole thing of landing in Ocean City, Maryland. Anyway, if you read the book, you'll see the connections and all. But anyhow, so I said, okay, I'm going to reset my distance meter. I'm in America now. Let's see now how far in America I go before I find something. Well, I went an amazing number, 111 degrees. 111 miles at 243 degrees. And I'm going to tell you, it was a really freaky experience. I couldn't believe it. I landed on top of the Washington Monument. The tallest Egyptian obelisk on the planet that is built to represent the phallus of Osiris. If you know the story of Osiris.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting, isn't it?
He was resurrected because of it.
That's right. That's right. And the Washington Monument is in the garden, the lawn of the White House. Okay. Do you know what Casablanca means in English? White House.
White House. Wow.
Does this get your curiosity up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So what are you saying? There's something underneath the Washington Monument?
No, I'm saying it was built there to represent the connection that America has with Egypt, Israel, the whole scheme. America's name I actually determined is actually Egyptian, Merkah. Yeah.
Wow.
Which means fire in the middle. The pyramid. Fire in the middle of the pyramid is what that translates to, except there's two letters left over. It's AI.
Is it?
So it's fire in the middle equals AI. Do you think that might be artificial intelligence?
Oh, dear. There's another rabbit hole.
I mean to tell you, but let me tell you what happened from there. Let's speed it up.
Okay.
I know you don't want to be on here for the next week with me. So let's just go to the next destination that caused me to pause. And it was all the way across the continent, of the North American continent, landed in the state of Washington. So here I left the Washington Monument on the East Coast and found something really, really special in Washington on the East Coast. Well, I found something even more special in Washington on the West Coast. I landed on a volcano, and it was called Lone Butte. And I'm like, why in the world would this be pointed at a volcano that sets in the ring of fire? So I started investigating volcanoes. I know a lot about volcanoes now. And what I learned about Lone Butte, it's the only one like that in Washington State. It's one of three in the United States, and the other two are straight down from it across the Columbia River in Oregon around Mount Hood. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got three really rare volcanoes. And what is rare about them? They call them tabletop volcanoes because they erupted underneath the ice. Ah, So I got three volcanoes in the Ring of Fire, two in Oregon, one in Washington State. So I started doing a real search for floods and other terrestrial volcanoes. And guess what I found? Just a short distance on the same energy system, 41 terrestrial volcanoes in British Columbia. And they're all bunched up in one area. So I'm like, okay, so I know I've got a massive underground water system that's been created to melt the ice from the magma beneath the volcanoes. Okay? But these volcanoes are erupting, but their lava is going out. You got 2 mile thick block ice. So the volcanoes, the lava goes this way. So over time, operating from underneath, they create this huge, let me tell you, look up the Bonneville flood. It occurred in 14,500 BC, and nobody can figure this flood out. It was massive. It's the greatest catastrophe to ever hit the North American continent in its creation because of the flood. This flood created the Great Basin that's underneath that they get the water for all the plant growth in the Midwest. All that, it came from this flood. And it happened one time, okay? Mississippi River. All this stuff was made from this. It created from it because it melted. People don't know the Mississippi River has another river. The fourth largest river in America is beneath the Mississippi River. People don't know that. If you're a boat guy, you know it. You don't want to go down because there's holes that go from one river to the other. You don't want to go in that.
Wow.
But anyway, that whole New Orleans and Louisiana, that water don't come from Mississippi. It comes from the bottom river.
Well,
But we don't understand what we got here. But anyway, so what I believe happened is the Bonneville flood only happened one time, and scientists cannot figure it out. One-time event, largest event, and usually floods occur over and over and over and over. Like during this ice age with ice melting, I believe what happened in 14,500, that was the first indication to the people running this show that they were succeeding on melting the ice from underneath, because all of that water came from ice that was, between the ice and the new volcano system. So all that ice, it's melting a concave section out, and all of that broke loose at one time and flooded, created all those water. That whole system through Oregon, from Alaska all the way down to Antarctica, that is a hydraulic divide of maximum energy potential. And you've got volcanoes on all the way. My God, Teotihuacan sits right on it. It's part of it. It is a hydraulic volcanic system. It interacts with the volcanoes because it's providing the water they need to work.
Who, in your estimation then, or according to your epic vision, actually forged not only these pyramid machines, but the structures underneath the volcanoes and all of this? Who built them?
Oh God, that is $1 million question. And I wonder if we'll ever know, really. But someone that created these systems, I've been doing it too long, and what I've seen by particularly Egypt, most of my research has been about Egypt, and it's the most thorough ever. I can start them. If we could put them back together, I could start them and get them running again. I know that much about how they were designed and what they're supposed to do.
Wow.
But
Any thoughts on whether, like, was this a unified global crusade against the ice? With cultures
I think
collaborating across oceans?
I don't know if it was different cultures. I don't know that. I do know that I've got two other pyramid systems that's been on my radar for years. And as a matter of fact, my wife and I are planning a near future trip to Angkor Wat. I believe Angkor Wat is also part of this system, and I believe the Chinese pyramids are as well. I've tied in all of these pyramid systems. I made an app last year sometime with the great George Roth of Ley Lines. He took all my, I literally have mapped out there are 9 lake volcanoes on Earth. Do you know what a lake volcano is?
Late
What they
volcano?
call it?
No.
Yeah, like Kilauea in Hawaii, where you can go look in it. It's always got lava, boiling hot lava, and they call those lava lakes. And some of these have been perpetually operating for millions of years. So we got some energy running through these systems, and there's only 9 of them on Earth. And what I learned is I got an app you can go on and look at. It's called the Captain's Armillary. It needs an instruction manual. It's in the stage that it just got completed and waiting for more. And as a matter of fact, you know who Maria Wheatley is.
Yes.
She actually, yes,
Crop
she
circles.
actually yes, she is a legend in the UK and second generation doing what she does. And she wants to come in and bring all her information of the ancient ley lines and put them on my app. So she's going to share that with me. I'm really excited about it. She's been so busy lately, as I have as well, coming out with this new book.
If these pyramids, these machines, and this system was melting the ice during the ice age, what else were
That's
they
right.
doing? Were they powering ancient cities?
I don't, I haven't really concentrated much on that particular method of use. It's very possible that they were, and they may have been at the same time that they were doing this. But my focus has been on what the main, you're talking about, and I said this years ago, I've been doing this so long. I kept looking at it and I said, if I was going to be an Egyptian guy riding my camel through the desert, I'm just going to show up in this deserted place and say, I think I'm going to build the biggest structure on the planet. Hey, what do you think, Joe? But I'm going to pick this spot, which happens to be the most center of the earth energetically, and has all of these systems like right in the mid. And one of the components of the Taurus is the UVG1 vortex. It is the most powerful vortex on planet Earth, and it sits right off of Port Said, right off of the coast of Egypt. So we've got a vortex system now that is the main one on the planet Earth. Interesting.
What do we mean by a vortex system?
There's different types of vortexes. Some of them are this way, some of them are this way, clockwise like the core of the earth.
Right.
So we get both vortex systems. But they're where energetic nodes, energetic lines that's running through the planet, these ley lines, like I'm telling you that Maria Wheatley want to put on there.
Right.
Like the ones I found that connect. This line I found from Osiris's tomb, I call it the Osiris line.
All right.
So they used the underworld. No comet. I did 50 years of research on comet impact on the Chesapeake Bay. I lived in the comet zone. I've investigated by water. I've read every report over the years I could get my hands on what the overall effects were having a comet impact right there. Of course, it localized. It changed the shape of the Chesapeake Bay and created the Chesapeake Bay. It used to be the Susquehanna River. Now it's the Chesapeake Bay. Okay? All right? Edgar Casey's place is built where it is because of this comet impact. Okay? The Philadelphia experiment that Tesla was involved in is about a mile away from where Edgar Casey is. Okay? The Tesla was on, and Tesla and Edgar Casey were best friends for 4 decades. I've actually spent 2 Christmas dinners in Edgar Casey's, the home he died in. And you know, Nikola Tesla had to be there at least once.
So are you saying the same system, energy system with the pyramids and the pumps that created the scalar energy that was melting ice glaciers during the Ice Age was also being used to prevent comets and asteroids from impacting the Earth?
No, I don't know. I don't know if that would happen. That's a good perspective. It needs to be investigated, though. I hadn't even thought about that particular part of it. If it was being operated during the time when Sirius and the sun are closer, would certainly be a period of time when that would occur more.
You mentioned Tesla. You mentioned Tesla. I want to talk about the Nikola monkey in the Nazca lines. And Tesla, of course, talked about the power of 3 6s and 9s, the 369 code, which is a talk to me more about the Nikola monkey that is seen in the Nazca lines, and let's get into that.
What I did with the monkey years ago, I actually made a set of T-shirts in 2018, 19. I made about 50 of them, gave them to all my friends, because I said I done figured out, I got about 9 theories on Nazca lines. 2 of them I'm introducing in this book, which is the astronaut and the Nazca monkey. The Nazca monkey is hands down the representative for 369. His tail is a vortex, okay? And it's 4 revolutions, okay? But if you understand a vortex, you never count the first turn. It's called the seed. It's like the seed in the plant. You know, it just goes into the rest of the vortex. So his tail is 3. He has 3 toes on each foot, 6. He has 1 hand with 5 fingers on it and 1 hand with 4. So it's easy to make him the 369 symbolist. Okay. Now, when I was doing the research there, you know, there's like 3 pyramid shapes on that Nazca line monkey in Peru. If you look at, there's 3 pyramid shapes there. And the way they designed that whole layer, it's actually two Nazca lines that they merged together. One is the monkey, and the other details the system in Egypt. So what I did, I went and I graphed where the Nazca monkey was, and I moved him to Egypt, and he aligned perfectly. As a matter of fact, he aligned so much that in my book, I only put about a dozen measurements that line up perfectly to the Nazca lines in Peru that go around these 3 pyramids, which is the 3 pyramids in Giza. It's just the way it's designed, it's an illusion. You have to really, really spend a lot of time like me looking at it. But I believe that I hope to write a whole book on it, that I can literally sit down with the coordinates and a diagram and probably put together close to 100 alignments perfectly to Nazca. I put enough in the book just to say, you got to look at this. So I call that monkey Nikola.
You
But
have
I look at 369 representative to me. When I look at the structures, is the Earth. 3 is a representative for Earth. 6 is a representative for Osiris, and 9 is a representative for the Sun. So that is the trilogy 369. Like Tesla said, if you understand this, you'll understand the magnificence of the universe because it's all connected that way.
you
And
have
that's what I've done.
you've also retranslated the Papyrus of Ani, the so-called
Oh, man,
Book of the Dead. You claim it's a technical manual. So
it is.
what hidden instructions does it contain, and why has that been suppressed?
I don't think it's been suppressed so much as it's just been nobody knows. You got to look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead that Wallace Bulge did, and it's been over 100 years ago while he was representing the British Museum. And you got to look at him. Okay, Christian guy goes to Egypt, trying to decipher hieroglyphs that somebody probably don't know much about him trying to tell him. So he comes up with his own theories based on his belief system. So a lot of these hieroglyphs, I have deciphered 4 main hieroglyphs, which has probably changed the language of 1,000 more. But the Papyrus of Ani, because I was so deep in doing the research on it, I actually went to the British Museum and requested to see it, because that's where it's supposed to be. And they have a lot of the Papyrus of Ani. When you walk up the stairwell, a lot of it's a really long papyrus. They have a lot of the papyrus, but I was interested in plate number 2, and nobody knew what I was talking about.
Is that the sunrise text?
Yes, and that's what it's called. Yes, exactly. And isn't that coincidental? So what I did, I went and looked at this hieroglyph. If you've got it and you bring it up and look at it, compare it to Osiris's tomb. They're literally inside Osiris's tomb. That's where the whole place, the scene is, the shape of it. You can see it's even stone carved out on the hieroglyph. And they're sitting there and water's coming out the bottom, just like it drains out of Osiris's. Through into the tunnel below goes the Sphinx. And they're both doing this energy. But the monkeys, you see the 6 monkeys, huh? All of them standing. So everybody's got their hands up saying, we got some fucking energy going on here, people. What's going on? Well, the monkeys represent 6 of the planets that were in alignment on summer solstice. Summer solstice and that whole Lion's Gate portal period is a very, very powerful, energetic event on planet Earth. Okay? This is when they used to start the pyramid systems up. Osiris actually disappears from sight for 70 days a year. And I went and dug deep on this and figured things out and all this, what's going on, how did it affect the ancients and different cultures and stuff, and really learned a lot, like the Dogon tribe. You know, they knew Sirius B was there before we ever even reinvented a telescope that could see it. And they said they were told by somebody that landed from the sky. And okay, well, that's good news to know. But anyway, all of these planets, so the monkeys are planets which are giving their own energy. And I actually detail that in the book. I'm really good at drawing. I draw. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drawings, and I make T-shirts with my drawings on it and stuff. I got them now with the new Nicola monkey on it. But anyway, so I like to draw, but this all happened when I had the near-death experience. All of a sudden, I started having these visions. So I started drawing them. And I just ended up just drawing and writing poetry. I wrote a whole book of poetry. I never wrote poetry. Poetry, what? You know? I'll go ride my chopper, man.
Wow. We've got to get together and talk some more. But in the meantime, let's give people the details on this big pyramid conference happening in Chicago in a couple of
Okay,
weeks.
cool.
Give us the dates and all of that.
It's September the 26th through the 29th. It's like a 4-day conference. And I'm actually doing 2 lectures there, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. And I'm doing I'm going to go over the 3 constellations that align to the 3 pyramid systems, but I'm going to concentrate on Egypt the most since it's got the most in it, and Egypt needs to come forth with it. So it should get to conversate. The second lecture will be on Osiris's tomb and how it operated as a dynamic plasma magnetocyclotron. It literally circulated, and like I said, plasma is electromagnetic. Okay, so the plasma is the rotor. It's in the water. Okay, and it's going in the field. This is where Tesla got his ideas for making the generator. You know, he was sun gazing in Istanbul. Did you know that when he wrote the first blueprint?
I did not.
Yeah, he was staring at the sun. And he said, I can see it, I can see it. Picked up a stick and drew the blueprints for the first AC generator in the dirt.
Amazing. Amazing. So
Crazy.
how do people sign up? How do they sign up for the conference?
All right. I'll send you that link for the global network, and I wish I'd had it written down.
That's all right. We'll put it in the episode
on
notes.
my website. Yeah, CaptainLeoWalton.com, and then get there from there for the time being. But it's the 6th annual Scientific Chicago Pyramid Conference, and it's been 2 years since they had the last one. Because the owner of the property unfortunately deceased. So the family was doing some renovations and getting some upgrades done. And so it's open again. This is the first time since then. So really excited to come there and let people hear my theories on, we need a new theory. We need a new plan of attack. I believe us humans that are organic have the capability to become a level 1 civilization on this planet, which there hasn't been one here in a long, long time, apparently.
The
to
Giza,
be able to do things like.
So let's talk about the books. The Giza Park Protocol, How to Start the Sun Operations Manual #1, Termination of Ice Age, and that was released just in July.
Recently, yeah, just recently. It's the first manual of 3, actually, when I wrote the manuscript and just started writing everything, putting it together, it ended up being 1,500 pages. So that's a little thick for a first book, I think. So basically, I've chopped it down into 3 books, and I plan on introducing a new one every year. Because it's basically written. It just needs each one of them upgraded, and I might have to do some artwork to go with it. Because a lot of the drawings, probably over 100 drawings in my book, I drew myself.
All right. And how do we get a copy of?
Amazon is the big place. If you go and look up books by Captain Leo Walton, they'll find my 2 books that's in print, and I'm actually in between publishers on the Addicted to the Sun book. I'm actually changing hands on that, so it might be a little delay getting that one. But Giza Park Protocol is ready to go. It's supposed to be in 150 countries with London Book doing the marketing in that regard. So we'll see. It's early. I'm excited. I put my heart and soul and a lifetime of work into it. And I believe history with evidence. You know, the difference with me being a forensics investigator is just the facts, ma'am. You know, I'm real big on having ideas, but if you don't have any physical collaborative evidence with it, you still have a good idea. But I think I've got enough collaborative evidence that people go start, it's going to bring in multiple disciplinary sciences together to communicate, to figure this out.
Captain Leo Walton. Wow, what a mind-bending conversation. Great to meet you. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Awesome. It's been great, man. I look forward to seeing you again too, Richard.
A new Richard Syrett's Strange Planet drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.